What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of On the Record, the Fat Records fan podcast, where we're going album by album, side by side, and roughly chronologically through the whole damn catalog. I'm one of your hosts, Alex, here again with Ben and Josh. What's going on, guys?
How's it going?
Today, we are talking about brackets E is for everything on Fat Records. We've got a nice selection of albums to talk about as well. It's going to be the most indie rock episode that we've done.
Yeah, I would say this is probably the most jangly episode this season.
Very unlike Fat Wreck, I will say.
Yeah, this is completely unique album for Fat Wreck, I feel.
Very much so.
At this point, for sure. It's like you can...
Yeah.
Later on, there'll be a little bit more of this type of thing here and there, but for the most part, this is definitely an anomaly as far as the early...
Is this the most accessible record they've put out so far? Like, it's in terms of like something that could get played on like a general radio station at this time?
No, I would say that the pop punk, more pop punk leaning stuff is as...
I don't know, man. I feel like this mid-90s, I think of all the like weird, like not quite alternative bands that were coming out. Like you had bands like Bare Naked Ladies getting really popular in America around this time and stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's like just edgy enough that you could play it on like a dentist, like the kind of station you'd hear like a dentist office and stuff like that.
I feel like you could say the same thing about some of No Use for Names material from Leche con Carne.
Sure, too.
Or even, I feel like it was No Use for a Name having Soulmate almost played on MTV, and like it could have been like a big deal, but it just ended up not being. This is definitely a different look for anything that's been released on Fat up to this point. All right, let's go through the liner notes here. This album that's not really an album, but is kind of a stand-in for an album, was released on November 19th, 1996. And it is a collection of tracks that they had released from going from 1994 all the way up until 96. So it's bringing together the Stinky Fingers EP, For Those About to Mock EP, and F is for Fat EP.
What's the third one a reference to? Band-wise. Like, first one's Rolling Stones, second one is AC/DC, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Maybe it's not related to the pattern. I don't know. I just figured.
I would think it would. I think it would. Yeah, I would think it would be, but I couldn't tell you what the reference even could be, though.
Yeah, not sure. I didn't see anything as I was sort of looking around for any kind of info on this album, but there's not really a whole lot out there written about Bracket. So, band.
It's also
lineup.
Not the easiest band name to Google either.
Oh no, that's not. The band lineup was Marty Gregori on vocals and guitar, Larry Tinney on guitar and vocals, Zach Charlos on bass and vocals, and Ray Castro on drums. Additional instrumentation by Christina Schutt on cello, Joe Marquez on organ, Bob McBain on piano, Christopher Grady on trumpet, Nick Phelps on trumpet, oboe, saxophone, Catherine Clune on violin, and Steve Kirk just providing orchestral arrangements. I don't even know what the fuck that means.
I think that's where you just kind of...
It's the conductor?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
It is now.
Yeah. It was written and recorded by Bracket, produced by Bracket and Joe Marquez. Tracks 1, 3, and 7 were mixed by Ryan Green.
Hold on a second. I may be about to embarrass myself, but I don't think I've heard a cello. Definitely don't recall any trumpets, oboes, saxophones, or any of that on this record.
I heard the trumpets for sure.
A lot of it's contained to one song, I think.
Yeah, okay. Flea Market has a lot of it.
Oh
yeah. Flea Market definitely has some horns, but I think a lot of it was used in the song Envy. Because
that
thought
too.
it was I thought it was like a propaganda style thing.
What do you mean?
With just jokes in the liner notes.
Oh, I don't think that's the case here. But yeah, Bracket coming to you straight out of wine country. They are from Forestville, California, which is in Sonoma County. And I mean,
where they make the jeans.
This is sort of their third album. I guess they had a third album lined up for Caroline Records, which was the label that released the first two. But then the label, I don't know if the label folded or if it just got into trouble and had to drop Bracket. And I don't know if maybe the label just didn't exist after that. But
yeah,
I guess Bracket had an LP prepared and they were going to release it, and then something happened and they got dropped. So they just decided to, I don't know what they did with those songs. They probably reused them in some way, but I don't think that any of those songs were these. These literally were just like records that they had been putting out on Fat.
Yeah.
Oh man, Caroline Records. So I think that they have, from what I'm reading, it sounds like they've started up, stopped, started up again. They're basically like a major label's kind of alternative underground label.
Oh, which major?
Pretty sure at least.
Caroline didn't.
Yeah, Virgin. Richard Branson founded Caroline.
Oh, okay. Caroline
Really?
didn't do any of those Misfits best ofs, did they? Like the collection 1 and 2?
They may have, yes.
Caroline's.
Static Age,
Okay.
Bad Brains Quickness. I'm pretty sure they put out We're Not In This Alone.
Oh man, I wonder if they put out Rise, my favorite Bad Brains record. Second favorite.
You know who else put out a record on Caroline? 50 Cent.
Ooh, hell yeah.
Brian, was on Caroline.
That's
some sick label mates.
Yeah.
Drop 19's Delaware was on.
All right,
That's a great record.
It is.
No, this is put out some Bat for Lashes. They put out a bunch of White Zombie records.
Oh hell yeah!
Wow.
They put out Don't Forget the Struggle, Don't Forget the Streets.
Wow, nice.
A Swans record, Join the Army. Wow.
Yeah,
they put out a lot of really good shit.
That is some interesting roster.
Welcome to Sweet Caroline, the Caroline Records podcast.
And also the Cherry Poppin' Daddies.
Yes. No, not really. But yes.
Man, sometimes I forget that band had that name.
I know. I was more of a Squirrel Nut Zippers kind of guy.
We did Zoot Suit Riot at my middle school, and we dressed up in zoot suits.
Oh no. Oh no. You can never run for office now. As soon as that comes out, they're gonna be like, nope.
I don't know. I mean, you don't even
the
have
bar's
to live
pretty
in the
low.
state you're running.
That's true.
I mean,
maybe we do need a candidate that can jump, jive, and wail.
It's a choice between a guy that's in a zoot suit and a guy that's a fucking Nazi. I'll take the zoot suit all day.
What if it's a Nazi themed zoot suit? What if it's like a splash pattern swastika zoot suit and designed by Hugo Boss, just like the OGs?
Amazing.
Could Kanye West be the band leader?
Yeah.
His name's Ye.
I refuse to respect that.
I don't think you need to respect anything about him anymore. I mean,
yeah.
That's it's a pretty big fuck up.
I mean, fuck up implies that he might have remorse about it.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
So, I feel like considering this was a compilation of songs, Hermit was a really good sequencing choice to start the record. That slow acoustic beginning, I think, really builds it up.
for like a collection, it feels very cohesive all the way through. Yeah. Like I told you guys off mic, everywhere I had ever seen the title for this, it was always just listed as E is for everything, like in the fat catalogs, everything. So until we started working on it for the podcast, I just thought it was one of their albums. I had no clue until we got into it that I was like, oh, this is very obviously based on the title, like just a collection of, the things they've released on Fat. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the sequencing is like perfect, pretty much.
It's really good. I think that it's pretty easily fools any person that doesn't, pay attention to the title, or or just somebody that's just listening to it and not looking at what it's called.
Sure.
It doesn't feel like a collection of songs. It feels like an album that was like intentionally put together, which is impressive for songs that were recorded over the course of like 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hermit is. I like it.
I love the intro.
I do too. It is maybe a little slow for a lead off track. And I would actually I'm actually of the opinion that the last song, which is Warren's Song Part 3, might have been a better way to lead this off. Because it's just like
I could see that
really
for sure.
Really fast, very short little number. But I don't know. I could see the argument for not doing that as well. But yeah, for the most part, I would say that most of the sequencing is right on. It's really good. Everything, it has like a nice flow to it. What did you guys think of Hermit? Like overall,
I think it's a solid opener. Like if a lot of the stuff this band does feels very like visual, like I mean that in the sense of like it all feels like something that could be in like a show or a movie to me. A lot of these songs like this, it just builds really nice. Like I don't know, there's something about the way they write is really interesting to me.
Yeah, they are. I would say that they're you could probably, if you're gonna give them one genre, it's probably power pop.
Yeah, for sure.
And because they're really good at writing very catchy, memorable songs, I think. Yeah, I mean, I think Bracket is actually a really underrated band that nobody ever talks about. Definitely not going to be one of the, even one of the first 10 bands that you name from the Fat Wreck catalog. But
I always thought it was really interesting that they were one of the bands that got a Live and a Dive like very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that Live and a Dive is really good.
It is. That's I think the first full Bracket album I ever heard was that Live and a Dive.
Oh yeah, that's a good intro to it. I love the way they changed up a lot of the songs on that one. So that'll be fun to talk about eventually.
Yeah, this song I thought kind of just sounded very like 90s alt, 90s grunge. And I think they flip between that 90s alt, 90s grunge, and like power pop songs, which like the next one is much more in the vein of power pop. The one big question I had from reading the lyrics is why the hell does he keep talking about his fucking uncle? Like all these references to his uncle showing him the way.
I'm not sure.
Is it really an uncle? Or is the uncle a metaphor?
I'm not sure about that one.
I really don't know. I could just be
up on that either.
An odd family situation where like a dad bailed and uncle was like the only father figure around or something. Or it could just be, like you said, could just be a metaphorical thing.
So that's a good point about the uncle. Yeah, taking the place of it. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the best song on this record, hands down.
Truly,
it's not even close. It's 2RAK005.
To
Raku.
So, did you know that I have, I've heard this song so many times. I've been listening to it for God knows how long, 20 years. Never knew what the hell the title was. It's a license plate.
Oh, really? Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I would always look at it and be like, what the hell does that even mean?
Yeah, it's 7 characters.
But yeah, it's a license plate that they saw while they were touring.
It's kind of funny.
Okay. I mean, goddamn, this song though is just so catchy. It's fantastic.
Dude, it's like a perfect power pop like rock song.
Really is. Like this shows like this sort of like the sheer skill that this band has. All in, a song that's 2.5 minutes long. This is just absolutely one of my favorite songs. Just that guitar solo though, the guitar solo gets stuck in my head after I listen to the song.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, it does. It was another Fat Comp Greatest Hits. I don't know if that was volume 2 or 3. I don't remember.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it had to have been whichever comp it was. That was the first time that I'd ever heard Bracket.
Oh, same here.
It was, and it probably, I would imagine that This Is the Song was the very first one that I ever heard from Bracket in general. And it remains one of my favorites.
So I have two thoughts about what the song could actually be about. One way I interpret it is that like it's a love song where he doesn't really love the other person, but like he's trying to make it work.
Okay.
The other one is it's just about a pathological liar.
I lean towards that. I think I lean towards a person that just can't stop lying, even to themselves, which is interesting. Yeah, it's just trying to hide their identity or even their true nature.
I do like that for the first idea you mentioned about someone that's just lying to themselves about how they feel, though. I mean, on the surface, that's what the vibe I get.
Yeah, in particular, the if I tell a lie, please be my alibi. I want to believe it's real. Like that sounds like.
Yeah, the I want to make believe it's real. That's just the way I feel. There's nothing left to fabricate. Like it sounds like someone just giving up on the idea of trying to fake it till you make it with as far as feelings go.
Yeah. I could see how that would be, in in terms of a relationship, but you could honestly say that about a lot of things in life.
Sure, absolutely.
But either way, how do you guys feel about the lyrics on this record overall? Because I actually found a lot to like here.
I think it's really good. I think it's like pretty introspective without being like really heavy-handed, and like it's written well without being like overly.
It's not pretentious by any means.
Like it doesn't try too hard. It doesn't feel like it tries too hard, I guess. Like it just feels super relatable.
Yeah,
I like
really
it.
Like that.
I feel like it's kind of obtuse in the way that Snuff is too.
I could see that a little bit. Yeah, it's a little blunt, like kind of forward.
Well, also just that, like, I don't know, sometimes I have a hard time discerning exactly what the lyrics are about to some of these, because like there's often like a surface level, and then like it seems like there's a level underneath it.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of dual purpose kind of writing going on.
And a good example is the next track, Speed Bump.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it's pretty obvious that it's about roadkill. And it's like it like goes through all the steps of how roadkill decomposes and is returned to the earth.
It's so sad too. It's such a bummer. Right? Like lyrically, it's such a bummer. Like the song's great, but goddamn,
but
makes you sad.
It's definitely like a metaphor for just like their own personal feelings.
Sure. Yeah, it's big like self-worth and like lack of just lack of confidence and thing.
I didn't make the roadkill connection. I knew it was like I thought it was an auto accident as like kind of a but I agree, definitely roadkill now that I look at it again.
Yeah.
But like, I was thinking auto accident as like kind of like a metaphor for like an emotional breakdown sort of thing. But
yeah, I could see that. And I think maybe you could still apply that read to it. Not that it's an auto accident, but that the metaphor is a stand-in for that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and I like this song. It's not one of my highlights, but I do like it.
Yeah,
It's
the
got
main riff's really cool.
yeah, it's got some sort of like oddball guitar playing, that I really like.
It reminds me of somebody, and like for as many times as I've listened to it, I cannot place what band it makes me think of. But it's one of those songs that immediately brings like it's like an audio deja vu, like a vibe I've heard before. But I wish I could place it.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot, but didn't happen to me on this one. But yeah, it would be interested to know if you can think of who that is, because
Yeah.
I'd be interested to hear what that could be. All right, let's move on to WWF.
For a song named after the World Wrestling Federation, this song does not kick a lot of ass. It's not one of my favorites on the album. There's nothing. It's not terrible or anything, but it didn't do much for me at all, really.
Yeah, it's not a highlight. I don't dislike it, but it's pleasant.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it is about wrestling, but it's also not about wrestling. It's another song that's definitely using wrestling as some sort of stand-in for what they're actually
wrestling with
about.
your feelings.
So I thought it was like referring to like a melodramatic like argument or fight that takes place in public. Like you and whoever, it could be a family member, it could be a lover, but like the types of melodramatics people go through when they're arguing and fighting in public.
That's actually a really cool read on it. It makes a lot of sense.
Which ties really well into
WWE. I mean, a big public fight. Yeah.
Well, it's like because it's actually the lyric that I pulled from this that I thought was interesting. He says, "I slap your face without contact. I want to hear the crowd react. This confrontation is not exactly what it seems. No one else seems to care."
Could be them just fighting for fun.
Yeah.
It's really make everybody at the Olive Garden uncomfortable. It's my favorite place to fight in public.
I think that's a lot of people's favorite place to fight in public. All right, let's move on to Talk Show. This is another standout for me.
Dude, this is a great song. This really band, I fully believe, and I'll come back to it on another song. This band 1,000,000% missed their calling writing like jingles and TV show theme songs.
I could see that.
1,000,000%, because the first minute of this song sounds like the theme show or the theme song for a TV show where Ed Asner coaches at-risk youths and they work in an ice cream shop part-time, and he like teaches them life lessons. That's what this sounds like to me. It immediately brings that show that doesn't exist to mind.
So incredibly specific. I love it. But okay, I have to ask though, like, why Ed Asner? Is it just because of the time period?
His father figure. He's just everybody's grandpa.
Okay.
He's the guy from Up. You can't not love him?
Yeah, right. That is very interesting. The
second half slaps. The second half rules too, by the way.
I just really like the concept for this song about a man who is just like, I want to be a talk show host, and then it goes through like his whole career arc too, because it's like he like falls out of favor, and then he tries to like comes back.
Please come on my talk show. I'll share everything I know. Please come on my talk show. I'll share everything I know.
And he just doesn't. It's just so funny too, because he says all the things about talk show hosts that I often end up like, suspecting them being the type of people that they, you have to listen to a lot of people that you don't give a shit. Like,
yeah, you just have to fake it.
Right. You just have to fake it. And like a lot of times if you watch those types of shows, like certain hosts are better at faking it than others. It's like I don't know that I've ever seen Jimmy Fallon give an interview that I thought he was actually
interested. Just laugh uncontrollably at.
He's just the worst.
Not everybody can be like Conan O'Brien. I feel like was the king of you never knew that he didn't wasn't interested in a guest, and he's talked about it. Like I've talked to so many, listened to so many people that it's just nothing. Like you're just listening to nothing. He's like, but you make the whole thing look good, and that's you get through it, and it's not everybody. I don't know. Not everybody can do it that deftly, I suppose.
Nope.
So I had two observations. First one quick is I felt like the chorus to this song sounded like the sound of it sounded a lot like the chorus to Raku.
Yeah, it is pretty similar.
And then I was also wondering, could like the onus for writing the song be knowing like the type of person that like has those qualities of a talk show host with the people they interact with in real life?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I'm doing that. Just kind of
I mean, I think
go
that's
blank.
why it's
My brain goes
relatable.
elsewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all like that at some time or another. I mean, okay, I mean, every single week I go to a art meetup, where I have met some of like my best friends in LA at this place, at just this meetup, but you never know who's going to show up. And sometimes you end up sitting next to a person who is just incredibly boring. And they try to talk to you, and you just, it's just, you just got to roll with it and try to
Yeah.
pretend like you're interested. Any more thoughts on side one of this album?
I think it's a good start to, again, what is, granted, it's a compilation of songs, but it flows really well. It feels really cohesive. Like it's sequenced really well for what it is.
For sure. All right, we're going to take a break before we go over to side two, and let's play a little game that Ben came up with. You want to explain this exercise, Ben?
This is gonna crash and burn, but the idea was that since we're talking about an album that that has E is for everything as the title, which includes a record that has F is for Fat Records as a title, I thought we'd try to make up our own X is for X. And I think the best way to actually add some structure to this is that these are going to be album titles for Fat Record bands.
Yes.
So we were talking earlier, and I came up with the idea of B is for bondage. But as we started to think about it from song lyrics and people's extracurricular activities, that would actually probably make for a better compilation.
Yeah, that's the new Fat Wreck $4 tour sampler. B is for bondage.
B is for bondage, Volume 1.
So who's going on this album? We got No Effects. We got
Strung Out.
We got Tilt.
Tilt, definitely. Maybe 2 songs from each, or it's like a 3-way split, something like that.
Split.
But who else? There's got to be
a menage a trois.
I think the guys from Snuff are into that.
I mean,
it's in their
technically,
name.
if they're in it, it's a Snuff film, so you could always just bury the lead.
But I think that they're referencing tobacco.
Yeah, I would imagine it's probably like Snuff, Chew, whatever that shit is.
Yeah.
But it fits the theme, so why not throw it on there?
Yeah, whatever. No one will know the difference. It's all vagaries, anyways.
Yeah.
You guys got any? It's okay. This segment can crash and burn.
It's all good, man. I got something.
Go for it.
All right. Screeching Weasel. I is for incel.
Oh, what do we do? We could do a
I is for I punched a woman.
Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna get canceled.
Screeching Weasel. C is for crowd killer.
They still wrote
Screeching Weasel. J is for Jesus. Did he just hit her? My contribution would be Propagandi's F is for Frost Nixon 7-inch.
That's a good one. Send us your own.
Yeah.
Way to dig yourself out of that one, Ben.
Yeah. you really nailed it there.
Really passed the buck.
You nailed the timing on it too.
I also want to send a shout out to MILF Hunter. Not the TV show. Somebody apparently won I'm watching the Game Awards, and somebody won a Steam Deck, and their username in the chat room was MILF Hunter, and so
Incredible.
it displayed this message that said, "Congratulations, MILF Hunter."
Of course.
Now that is funny.
That is a work of art.
Yeah.
So whoever MILF Hunter is, congratulations.
Well done, and enjoy the Steam Deck.
Yeah, shout out to people with really funny like names that they use on video games, because it can just really add,
it's the best.
it can add something when, somebody with a really funny username keeps killing you. I enjoyed that. The other night I was playing the Warzone 2 with a couple of my friends, and our random teammate was just called COVID-19.
Yeah, I've seen that pop up in Halo and stuff.
It's like, so, props to you, COVID-19. He didn't make it.
And like, how proud do you have to be the person who jumped on that gamer tag first? To have been like the early adopter. Like, I'd be so, I situated myself for the best possible gamer tag for a global pandemic.
All right, let's move on to side 2. Kick things off with Flea Market.
I like Flea Market a lot.
Flea Market's good. I like this track.
I don't want anything from the Flea Market though.
I like it, but I think I like it more because there's horns on it than anything else. Because otherwise, I feel like you could just take Flea Market out and put any other establishment in, and the song is like the same thing. It's like, I don't want anything from the Taco Bell. Like, it's the same. Like, and you throw like a reference to like.
That's another example of a jingle that they could have written.
Exactly. Seriously, all these songs could have been in commercials.
Yeah.
Those horns, though. This could have been a ska. This could have been a ska record. Would have been better as a ska record.
All right, we're not gonna do this again.
We're gonna make this bit work.
Yeah, I do really like the horns though, because like they're not like too prominent.
No, they're mixed super well.
Ben wasn't even really picking up on it too much.
No.
But it's there just to, like, it's kind of subtle, and it's there to just sort of elevate it a little bit, and it's just really tastefully added.
Yeah.
Why would somebody feel pressure to get something from the flea market anyway?
Pushy salesman.
Yeah.
Or do you mean go to the flea market?
I mean, I was reading it as, like reading the lyrics as like somebody's going to the flea market and they're asking, "Hey, do you want anything?" And you're like, "No, I don't."
Oh, I thought. Well, no, he goes home from the flea market.
Oh, yeah,
the second to last line.
That's true.
I was wondering what the growth is. Is the growth that he didn't buy anything from the flea market? He used to be like a.
I think it's the take I kind of get is that like it's someone who's like still very steeped in like kind of like a hoarding junk culture situation, and like he's trying to avoid like filling his life with useless shit and spending money on useless shit. And I think that's the I'm waiting for the chance so I can go home, show someone how much I've grown, because like obviously like collecting all this shit has caused personal problems.
Yeah. And I don't. Okay, so like forever ago, I don't know if this was another like thing that was written on the Fat Wreck website at some point, but I couldn't really find anything to back this up anyway. But I think that I think like Bracket is I don't know if like it's certain members of the band, but come from like a trailer park.
And oh, really?
I think I remember. Do they have an album that has like trailer park in the title or something?
I don't think they do, but I could have sworn that they're. I got nothing to back this up because I couldn't find it. It might have been just been in like a description of one of the albums on Fat Wreck's website, because they sometimes drop like little things about the bands in there. But I hear flea market and I'm just like, this. Yeah, that seems like a topic for a band that lives in a trailer park. I'm not trying to pass judgment, but flea market. I always think of that line in Mallrats about how flea market is the dirt mall.
Yeah. For sure. You find so much cool shit at a flea market.
You can.
I bought my first Beastie Boys CD at a flea market.
There's some really good ones in Cincinnati.
I bought 2 saxophones at a flea market.
Jesus, easy
Two?
fear.
They were really cheap. I think they were probably stolen.
I think they probably were.
Most likely, yeah.
My favorite thing that you can find at flea markets is how people just sell used like expired batteries. Like they've clearly like been in a stock room for like 3 years. They're still good. Just
Expired batteries.
out of them.
Okay.
Scrape the white stuff off.
The heyday of like the 90s flea market, it was all expired batteries and fake Tommy jeans for as far as the eye could see.
So going back to that, the descriptions on Fat Rack website, I wanted to throw out that my favorite one was the one for Dillinger 4.
I can only imagine.
It said that they were screeching weasel with balls the size of grapefruits.
Oh man, we could turn this into a trivia game of some kind. Like you just got to just remove the band name.
Yeah, and what band is this described?
Yeah, that'd be good.
We'll have to stick that in our pocket for a future episode.
Earmarked for later. Also, I just want to make a comment about flea markets in general, about how like when you go to the flea market, you don't go expecting to pay more money for something, right?
Well, you didn't at one point, but it's 2022.
So this has changed everywhere. It's not just...
No, everything, secondary market on everything since pandemic has gone insane.
Because maybe like a month ago, me and my girlfriend went to the Rose Bowl flea market. That's where I got that picture of that beautiful Sonic t-shirt that I sent you guys.
Oh, yes.
Chronic, the hemp hog.
Still, my favorite weed parody shirt of all time is still the Seattle Supersonics logo, and it says "Smoking Super Chronic."
It's pretty good.
It's very good.
But like I was browsing, like they have like a very like, I mean, this is like the most massive flea market I've ever seen in my life. But they had like, all these like tents full of like t-shirts, old like vintage t-shirts, and like I would just like sort of like, I'm just browsing, looking through, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I saw like a Catherine Wheel shirt. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. And then I heard the guy next to me ask the guy running the tent, like, oh, so there aren't any price tags on any of these things. So what does it cost? And the guy was like, oh, it ranges anywhere from $30 to $500.
Yeah, it just depends on what the sold prices are on eBay for that week.
What the fuck?
These fucking pirates.
And some of these shirts were in really terrible,
like shit shape.
Like,
yeah.
I found a very old Blink-182 t-shirt that was literally just like mostly holes. But
where it's like it's just been so worn, the fabric's almost not even there anymore.
This shirt had to have been from the mid-90s. It was just a mess. And I was actually curious. It's like, how much are you charging for this? Just because I wanted to, laugh at the price. But
yeah, I can only imagine.
Weird shit. I've never, anytime I've gone to the flea market, I'm not going with the expectation that I'm paying full price or,
an extreme markup.
Yeah, like well over. So I thought that was kind of interesting. All right, let's move on to Eating Pie. I really like the song.
It's more ska vibes. I kind of feel like, at least in the beginning, a little bit of upstrokey kind of arrangement to it.
Yeah, a little bit. I think like the keyboards kind of add that too a little bit.
Yeah,
it's just those are also a little. I would say they're more subtle than anything. They're not in your face. But yeah, this one has, it's got a really great guitar solo, some awesome vocal harmonies, which Brackett just gets better and better at as they go along.
They're so good at that stuff, man.
Yeah, the vocal harmonies are truly impressive. And this is yet another example of, they would be really great at writing some jingles because of the harmony.
I'm telling you.
Ben, what did you think?
So the one thing I wrote about this was really just trying to understand what the song was about. But now I'm starting to think, looking. So initially, I thought maybe it was like his musings on free will, because of the I'll change my mind 3 times a day. It happens all against my, or it all happens against my will. Like the idea that like you're not really in control of your thoughts or your desires or your feelings,
Mm-hmm.
just something that arises. But now I'm thinking that the pie he's eating uh, is a different one than I was thinking, and he's referencing humble pie.
See, I have that written down actually, just because I thought that, I felt like it had to have been referencing some kind of idiom, whether it was easy as pie or eating humble pie. But I think humble pie might fit better if that's what it's referencing. I couldn't really figure it out either.
Well, because it sounds like that the change in his mind is something he doesn't want to do. Like it's somebody who's just very refuses to admit they're wrong. Almost is what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That would fit
although,
with the eating humble pie.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Although there's also a couple lines that almost seem like they're referencing like bulimia. The what must go down must always come up, so I can search for my diet pill.
I noticed that too, and it kind of made me think it was for a minute. It made me skew towards like it being about buying into like culture and following trends, but it's more what you said too. But the diet pill thing kind of led me down that lane a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not clear at all.
I like it.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to My Stepson. This one's something.
This is quite a track.
Yeah, like lyrically, it's fascinating. I mean, I think the song's okay, but lyrically, wow.
Shout out to Eric and Lyle on this one. Jesus.
See, this is exactly where I thought you were gonna drop in the Menendez.
My stepson has a gun. He shows me who's number one. He's aware of my welfare. He tells me he doesn't care. That is super fucking aggressive and sounds like a really bad stepson.
Yeah. And then he says he never listened to me. He turned his mom against me. I think he needs therapy. And then it has the capper. It really is the ending though. It's so fucked up.
Yeah.
It's like it hurt him more than it hurt me. He lives in a penitentiary. Which one of us is more guilty?
Jeez, yeah, like it starts off very like Mr. Brett, please put down your gun, and then ends just very sad, like true crime documentary.
So did he frame the kid?
No, I think it's he feels guilty that because it says what is it? He was young, he was small. I showed him, I knew it all. Like, and it kind of feels like he's the one who showed him guns and exposed him to it.
Oh, okay.
And now he feels like the guilt retroactively because his son shot him, I guess. Like, did I teach him or like lead him into this kind of behavior?
I mean, I took the guilt as more of just like the kid was so unstable, and just caused a lot of problems.
Yeah, that too.
It's got sirens.
I think that's me.
All right, I think they're gone.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's definitely a highlight as far as the lyrics go because of how just it doesn't really fit with anything else here.
How out there it is.
Yeah.
We can all relate to a little patricide, I suppose. No, just me.
I mean,
So how about Envy? Track 9.
Yeah, Envy. I think this is the one that I like the least.
Really? I actually really dig this song.
I don't think it's bad. I just this is the most unfat wreck song.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I would
It's
agree there for
so, like,
sure.
at this point, like, you'll later on, you'll have the records like the acoustic Joey Cape and Tony Sly albums and stuff like that
Sure.
bring in a lot of the orchestral stuff. But at this stage, like, this is so far out there compared to everything else on the label. Like, this is a really
Absolutely.
strange song to be included on a Fat Wreck album.
They really do well with all that extra instrumentation, though. I mean, it pays off.
No, yeah, I think, I mean, it's incredibly, like, well done and put together. Like, it's really just, it's the music itself is beautiful. It just doesn't really, like, give me a whole lot to go. I don't know. I just didn't feel like going back to it.
It's a cool down track, from a
Yeah,
sequencing perspective, it's good.
I do think it should have been the closer. I think they should have just bumped
that's-
I think they should have bumped Warren's song to 6 and right at a flea market. Just put it to the front of side 2, and I think the whole thing would have flowed a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I feel like Warren's song, it kind of makes sense where it is, but again, it also could have been lead off track. But Envy definitely makes the most sense to be the last track.
Yeah. I was actually surprised, like, not paying attention as I was listening and looking at the track list. When this ended and then another song kicked in, I just assumed Spotify had, like, like an album will end, it'll kick into like bracket radio, and it'll start playing. I don't know, another bracket song off of a different album or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that had happened. And I was like, oh, this is not actually the last. Envy was not the last song after all.
Yeah. And then lyrically, it's a bummer. I mean, it's just like about someone regretting all their choices and being envious of everybody else.
Yep. Yeah, it's nothing super sunny, that's for sure. It's very relatable, though.
Yeah, definitely.
So, speaking of Warren's song, I did a little bit of research and crunched the numbers, and I found out
there's 28 of them.
29.
I was going to say,
29.
Holy Moses, 29?
In 2019, they released a record titled Too Old to Die Young, and that's part 29.
That's amazing.
Really?
So this is only 10% of the way through all of the Warren's songs.
This is the ongoing saga of Warren.
But they did do an entire record that's all Warren songs.
Oh, really?
Requiem, right?
Yeah, it's a weird album.
Interesting.
That's a strange record. I did not like it when I heard it a long time ago when it first came out. I was excited because, like, at that point Bracket hadn't put anything out since their Live in a Dive, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
And they had they had been like building their own studio and stuff, so that they could specifically record this record. And it just like it's just not like everything else. Like, I think like a lot of it was less power pop, maybe more chamber pop or something. Definitely a strange album.
Another one of those songs though where like they missed their calling. TV, like if They Might Be Giants hadn't gotten the spot for Malcolm in the Middle or whatever band that is, this absolutely could have been the theme song for a TV show like that.
They would have been, Bracket would have been a really good choice for something like that.
For sure. Also, great show and like super underrated. And then they're talking about doing a reboot, and I hope it happens. Or not a reboot, but like a continuation.
Was that show underrated? I thought people loved it at the time.
I don't know. At the time, but I don't. In retrospect, I don't hear people talk about it like ever.
It kind of got forgotten. Yeah.
Yeah. It got like, I don't know if something else blew up around like their midway part of their run, or that like overshadowed them, or what.
Isn't Frankie Muniz kind of a dick?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard anything like that. I know he's got some sort of weird, like, not we. I shouldn't say weird. That sounds awful, but like he's got some sort of health issue with like his memory and stuff.
I think
so. He said he doesn't remember a lot of that show, which is kind of a bummer.
I think that was a rumor. I don't think that was proved. I don't think he actually said that. I think that was like some sort of like rumor that got propagated.
Oh, the memory thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But again,
I'm glad. I hope he's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've never heard anything about him being terrible or anything.
I did hear him tell a great anecdote about Bryan Cranston about how like ever since he was a kid, like from that time that show ended to like now, he's like, Bryan calls me every 2 weeks. He's like, he asks like how I'm doing and like what I'm working on and like how things are. He's like calls him like an uncle and just like checks on him. It's really sweet.
That is very cool. I guess another reason why I thought maybe Malcolm in the Middle was like still like a well-known and well-regarded TV show was when people started trying to make those like fake connections between Breaking Bad and
where it was like, is Malcolm in the Middle a secret sequel to Breaking Bad? I had no spoilers, but not quite.
So I thought he was like had some like very like salty, like jealous statements about like somebody like Joseph Gordon-Levitt or
Let's
maybe
find out.
Elijah Wood.
Frankie Muniz.
Well, he was never anywhere near as successful as those guys, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it was like some salt, like about how successful.
Hey, My Dog Skip was very successful. It was not. I don't think it was. I don't think anybody saw that movie. Oh, so Shia LaBeouf tried to pick a fight with him once.
That's it. Yeah.
I mean, in that case, Frankie Muniz is a hero because fuck that guy.
And then someone on a Honda Civic forum said that Frankie Muniz is a dick. So yeah, Honda Civic drivers don't like Frankie Muniz.
It's all speculation. But
apparently, Shia LaBeouf converted to Catholicism recently. He's playing.
Good for him.
He's playing like a famous saint in a movie coming up and studying for the role costume to convert to Catholicism.
I'm not a fan. Really don't like that guy. We're talking about somebody that like comes off as a real prick. It's that guy.
I don't know. I like he's the right kind of prick.
Like that time he made a short film that was based on Daniel Clothe's comic, and then like took it to a film festival and said that he wrote it, and then people were like, "No, this was
this is a Daniel Clothe's book, you idiot."
Comic that was very well known, and then the way that he decided to apologize was really backhanded. He flew an airplane over LA that said,
with like
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
he's just like, come on.
What a douche.
Fucking douchebag. So yeah.
Didn't he rent out a movie theater to watch his own movies?
So he did some kind of goofy shit like that.
I mean, that's innocent. But stealing people's work and claiming it as your own, that's not innocent, and that's not cool. All right, we got a little off track there, but is there anything to say about Warren Song Part 3?
Not really.
Just that it's great, and it should have been the Malcolm in the Middle theme song.
Yeah, it's a really like fun little short song that's real catchy. I really liked it.
So as I'm still looking for the Frankie Muniz dick stuff, I found a website that just has a story called 43 Alleged Reputation Ruining Stories. And it's just people saying things about celebrities. There's no verification whatsoever.
Oh, wonderful.
This guy he says Frankie Muniz from Malcolm in the Middle is a tattooed drunk degenerate that pulled a gun on his girlfriend and threatened to kill himself in front of her. He speeds down a residential neighborhood dense with children and thinks he's badass because he crashes cars on racetracks for fun. He has also hit neighborhood kids. Source, I can see his house from my house.
Wow.
I think Frankie Muniz's neighbors hate him.
Wow. That is an intense rumor.
But it does say alleged, so.
Okay. And on that note, that's going to be the end of brackets. E is for everything on Fat Records.
Potentially the end of this podcast.
We've said some things.
Allegedly.
Let me reiterate. I did not mean to imply that people that live in trailer parks are awful or anything like that.
I don't think Frankie Muniz has hit a child with his car.
Well, he might have. So
allegedly.
I choose to believe.
Allegedly.
Choose to believe Frankie Muniz, not a good guy.
Jesus, Budget. He just knocked down a box, or almost knocked down a box on himself trying to climb on it.
The best is when you shout that. I don't know if you're shouting at the cat or CNBC.
It's the budget.
Damn it, budget crisis.
The budget is having a crisis indeed.
That's what happens when budget knocks things over. It's a budget crisis.
Oh, there he is. Is he? The only way that you can really make sure that a cat is behaving is if they're sitting in your lap.
Exactly. And even then, they're not necessarily behaving either.
Yeah, I mean, they're always up to no good. All right. Now it's time to talk about some other albums that came out. In this case, not exactly around the same time. We're
been a year.
We're on both sides here. We've got a record.
Yeah, we're in the ballpark.
We got a record from 95. We got a record from 97.
It's a rolling calendar, folks.
It is. But I think that these records really do fit with bracket. And because all three of them have I think power pop influence to them, and that's sort of their connecting thread. But they're different flavors of that type of thing. First up, it's The Promise Ring, Nothing Feels Good. And
it's a classic.
It is a classic. This was released on October 14th, 1997 on Jade Tree Records, and it was recorded by Jay Robbins, which is notable because, honestly, Jay Robbins is one of the reasons why I think this record is so good. If you compare this to the first Promise Ring record, which I don't think is really that good.
Wait, which one's the first one? I don't know if I think
30,
I have my Promise Ring.
30 Degrees Everywhere.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. I always forget about that one.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't listened to it in a very long time, and I definitely didn't listen to it, preparing for this. But I just remembered not enjoying it very much at all. But I think of all the records we're going to talk about today, this one definitely has the biggest legacy.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very, very well known, even outside of people that even care about punk music or emo. It's on, look up a list of best emo records. This is probably in the top 5 on any single list you're going to pull up. It's sort of like a cornerstone of emo in a lot of ways because
oh yeah, absolutely.
And it just it went on to influence so many bands in the early in the late 90s and early 2000s. And they're not necessarily bands that I like, but they are very well known bands because I think you can say that Taking Back Sunday, Newfound Glory, Saves the Day, Jimmy Eats World, Get Up Kids, they're all taking some kind of note from this record in some way. It brought emo, I think, to a brand new audience.
Absolutely, yeah. It's I mean, I can't say anything really you didn't already, to be quite honest.
But I do think that Jay Robbins is a fucking phenomenal producer.
Oh yeah,
he's done so many great records.
He did a lot of the Jade Tree stuff, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did. But
he also wrote some killer fucking records too.
Touche.
I have to go back. Are you talking specifically about Jawbox?
Yeah, Burning Airlines is pretty good too, but yeah, mainly Jawbox. Yeah.
I'd have to go back to it. I don't know that I've ever really given it a fair shake. I mean, definitely not in the past decade or so. I haven't even tried. But
I mean, if you like Jawbreaker and Quicksand, there's a very good chance that you might like Jawbone because that's, at least in my head, that's what's really there. Is
Yeah,
those
that's a pretty
two.
fair reference for sure.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I discovered this record pretty early on, pretty much not long after discovering J Tree. I kind of just
Yep.
one point went through like the free MP3s they had up on their website and
Yep.
learned about everything else they're putting out. I've always liked it, but I don't think I ever crossed into the territory of loving it the way that a lot of people seem to love it. You know, I think it's good. I mean, in terms of my emo tastes, they go a bit earlier and more punk than this. But
Yeah.
very good record.
Yeah, I think this is where emo starts to change and get.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
That's, I think this is where, you know, it's everything that comes in the wake of this record, like all those bands I just mentioned, that starts to twist it up. It's like they're taking influence from pop punk, like
Indie rock.
radio commercial friendly pop punk, and then and emo, and they just sort of bring it all together. And I think, you know, I think Jimmy Eat World's a really good example of that.
Cap and Jazz, if you'd allow them in this discussion.
I mean, that's
a
where
a little earlier
kind
than
of comes
Promise
from
Ring,
that.
but yeah. Do they?
Well, I mean, Davey Von Bolen was in Cap and Jazz.
I just thought that Promise Ring was. I guess okay. Were they a Chicago band? Oh shit! I always thought they were a New Jersey. I always thought they were a New Jersey band for some reason.
That's really funny.
No,
Probably because of that song Delaware.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, their Promise Rings are from Milwaukee.
Milwaukee, yeah.
Yeah, so it would totally make sense. There's from, yeah, it's, I mean, yeah, this, I think you could, if you want to like break things down into subgenres, that Promise Ring is Midwestern emo.
Sure.
Yeah.
Of which there are, you know, lots of examples of that. But yeah, like what are some of your favorite songs from this one, Ben?
Delaware, which I realized is this thing on.
Mhm.
Red and Blue Jeans, which is really funny in terms of the story about this song because, you know, after years of mostly listening to punk and metal, I had been for like a day listening to Red and Blue Jeans and some Pedro the Lion MP3s, and my mom got really concerned that I was depressed.
That's fair. That's completely fair. Especially when the Pedro comes on, I'd be calling doctor too.
I don't think David Bozon's really the cheeriest dude.
Why did we ever meet and be as for Bethlehem or a couple other ones I liked a lot.
Yeah, I liked the first two you mentioned as well, and Nothing Feels Good was really great too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, I really like Perfect Lines, Why Did Ever We Meet, and Pink Chimneys, and Forget Me. B is for Bethlehem has like actually like across the entire album, lyrics are
That's another
really,
great song too.
really interesting lyrics. Like these are like this is the kind of record that has like such like fascinating lyrics that we could, you know, you could probably do just at least like an hour-long podcast where you just dissect it because there's just a lot of really interesting stuff referenced in here.
Patreon content.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody wants that, you know, an emo record, maybe not what you'd expect, but yeah, I just, especially B is for Bethlehem, just because like listening to it casually, you're kind of like wait a second, Promise Ring, they're not a Christian band, and they're not. It's just reference.
Yeah.
Like, he just keeps mentioning that Jesus was a fisherman. He says it, I think, too many times. But
he does say at the end it turns into very much like a Roxanne, like take a drink every time he says Jesus was a fisherman.
Yeah. And I just, you know, because I think it's because the song threw me, and I actually like really started looking at the lyrics. And I started like trying to dissect it a little bit, it really just like it's fascinating. Like apparently, like across the record, I think there's like 3 songs where he references the colors red and blue, and
Yeah.
at least according to some of the stuff that was linked on Wikipedia, people were claiming that those colors are stand-ins for something. Like the red is supposed to be like his girlfriend, but then in another song, but then in B is for Bethlehem, I don't know if that really tracks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought this was really interesting because like a lot of these people that were making these claims were in like reviews of the record. Like there weren't interviews.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, really interesting lyrical content here. A lot of literary and poetry references. Like there's
For sure.
Sylvia Plath is referenced a whole bunch of times.
Very, very learned band.
Yeah. But in one of these songs he says he didn't go to college, so he just must be well read.
Spent a lot of time at the library.
Yeah. And then in particular I really liked Pink Chimneys, and what stands out to me about the song is that it's just like 3 lines in terms of lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
And to make that really work and not make me even really notice is, I think, a feat.
Yeah, absolutely.
A 2.5-minute song where you're just saying 3 lines over and over again. Well done. I really like the jangle on that song specifically because it does remind me of one of my all-time favorite records. It's an obscure one. It's the band Dumptruck, the album For the Country. Not a very well-known record. Wish that it was.
Great record.
It's a fantastic.
You showed it to me. Yeah, it's fantastic.
It remains one of my favorite albums I think I've ever heard. But it's definitely Pink Chimneys was reminding me of that specifically. But yeah. Yeah, this is a great record.
So is E is for everything probably, or F is for Fat Wreck probably, and D is for Dump Truck reference?
I doubt it, but yes, that does exist. D is for Dump Truck is one of their albums that I thought was another thing I was going to mention. Yeah. Any more thoughts on Promise Ring?
Yeah, great band, great album.
Yeah, it's a good one. All right, last record. Let's talk about Superchunk's This Is Where the Strings Come In. This was released on September 19th, 1995 on Merge Records. So I wasn't super familiar with this one.
This is the only album by this band I've ever heard. This is one of the only ones I've owned. So this is the full extent of my exposure to Superchunk as a band.
This is a good choice then. Did you I still think you should go and listen to Majesty Shredding, which was sort of their comeback record, because it is absolutely just a fucking knockout. It is an amazing record.
And you said kind of the second half of their career has been generally pretty solid, huh?
I mean, I think so. I would actually be interested to know from a longtime Superchunk fan that like has been, a fan since the early 90s or even that back to their inception in the 80s. I'd like to know how they feel about the second half of Superchunk's output. If maybe they feel like it's just kind of like they're retreading, they're just kind of doing what they did the first time around, or not. But I wouldn't see it that way, but there's definitely, there's things that they're doing on this record that they definitely carry through to their later releases for sure.
Well, here's the funny thing about that. Some of the releases after this get like they lose like energy and like the drive that these songs sort of have. And so I find them extremely boring. Yeah. I thought the most recent album they put out had that vibe to it, but like everything before, after they've come back, has been freaking excellent.
Yeah, they seemed completely revitalized when they came back, because I felt the same way. Because I did sample a lot of like the later records that come after this one even, and they just never clicked with me. It was just too slow. and like the songs are very long, I think. But and there's some long songs on here that I don't think are that great. The second track, Silver Leaf and Snowy Tears, kind of bores me.
Yeah, there's a handful of tracks I feel like they kind of just sort of plod on a little bit.
Yeah. Sunshine State makes me feel that way. And then Certain Stars, the last track. All those songs, I'm just like, this is just a little too slow for me. These are songs that I kind of wished were just really cut down and made a bit more compact. That's actually like a thing that I can say about Promise Rings Nothing Feels Good, is that even the slower songs are not like too long.
No, not at all. They don't feel like they overstay their welcome or anything.
Not at all. Whereas I think that is kind of a problem on some of these songs on the Superchunk record.
Big time.
But yeah, can we all agree Hyper Enough is like the best song here, though?
Oh yeah.
I really like Detroit Has a Skyline.
Yeah,
is really good too.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, It's Beautiful here too, and Certain Stars were the other two that I really liked.
Oh, you liked Certain Stars?
I did too.
Okay.
This is about as late as I normally go with their records pre-hiatus, or reduced activity, however you want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love what they've put out since 2010 for the most part. My favorite song, Hyper Enough is probably the one I listen to the most off this record, but I also really like Detroit Has a Skyline. I think that the title track is really good, and as I said, Certain Stars I thought was pretty good as well.
As far as like the slower songs go, I like Green Flowers, Blue Fish, which I thought was I think it's cool just because of, like it goes from being like quieter, and then like the full band comes in and really like pushes it to another level. And I guess that song was written specifically for the movie Johnny Mnemonic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That fucking rules. I saw that in the theater.
I've never
That was
seen
basically the Matrix before the Matrix, right?
Yeah, it was.
Really?
It was like
Down to Keanu.
proto like internet matrixy type stuff.
Really?
It was like Keanu, Ice-T. I forget who else was in there. There were some other cool people in there.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never seen it. Is it worth watching?
I mean, it's gonna be very 90s, so there's gonna be a lot of like block to it, and like a lot of shit where you go like those words don't make any sense together, like that kind of stuff. But if you can just shut your brain off and watch like a late 90s schlocky sci-fi action Keanu joint, it's a good time.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just not familiar with it at all. Like, this is all information that I just didn't know. Yeah, I think this record is good. It definitely has some standout songs, but I think there are better Superchunk records than this one, for sure. And I would say even some of the earlier ones are better.
Oh, that's right. Henry Rollins is in Johnny Mnemonic also. I completely forgot. He plays Spider. Because of course
another Nazi.
Because of course he plays a character named Spider. No, I think he's like a badass like resistance fighter.
Okay.
That's a good fit.
I feel like he gets kind of typecast as like a cop or a Nazi in a lot of stuff.
He definitely gets like the more aggressive, yeah. Like when they cast him to do I think it was on Batman Beyond. He plays a villain on Batman Beyond, and it's just a guy who's real mad at all the little things in life, and it's literally just a character based on Henry, clearly. And like the guy walks around with dynamite the whole episode, and he's like, "There's too much going on. Everything is terrible." Like, and he's gonna blow the whole city up.
All right. Any more thoughts on Here's the Strings Come In?
That's it.
All right.
For my only exposure to him, really, it's a pretty solid album.
Yeah, it's definitely solid. I like it. All right, well, that is gonna do it for us here. If you have any questions, comments, or most importantly, corrections on anything we've gotten wrong, please email us at ontherecord@gmail.com so we can set the record straight in a future episode. And I mean, I hope there's some corrections because we've said a lot of stupid shit.
Yeah, I generally I just say whatever comes to my head. It's not necessarily going to be true most of the time. Also, leave us a review and tell us your favorite part of Johnny Mnemonic.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the hate mail from Frankie Muniz.
Someone's gonna show it to him like, "Hey, Frankie."
I would fucking frame that on my wall.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if we would get him on this podcast, and me and Frankie Muniz, me and Frankie Muniz are gonna verbally battle it out. I'll take Malcolm in the middle on. I don't give a shit.
What are we doing next week?
I call Brett Gurewitz drunk. You think I'm not gonna argue with Frankie? It's gonna get us so many views, you guys.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to reach through the
viral.
Sorry, what were you gonna ask, Ben?
Oh, what are we gonna talk about next week?
Yes. Next week we are talking about Screw 32's Under the Influence of Bad People. So look forward to that. We've got some pretty great rival records for that one too.
Yeah, as much as I love the Screw 32 record, the two rival records are my love way more.
It's all going to be good.
Yeah.
So look forward to that in the next episode. And thanks for listening. See ya.
See ya.
I'll be right back. I gotta spill my urine.